You've been lied to about horsepower. When James Watt invented the term to sell steam engines, he set a standard that grossly insults the animal it's named after. A single horse doesn't just produce 1 horsepower, it's a biological powerhouse. While 1 unit represents sustained work over a day, a horse in a peak sprint can explode with up to 24 horsepower of pure mechanical force. That's the equivalent of 24 horses working in unison, all packed into 1 muscular frame. We didn't name the unit after the horse's strength. We named it after its stamina. Reality is much more powerful. In 1781, in Prussia, your morning brew could land you in a dungeon. Frederick the Great, desperate to protect the local beer industry and stop gold from flowing to foreign coffee traders, declared a royal monopoly on roasting. To enforce this, he hired the Kaffeereicher, a specialized task force of 400 war-disabled veterans. These coffee sniffers roamed the streets, using their sharpened senses to hunt down the illegal aroma of home-roasted beans. It was a war on aroma, where a single whiff could trigger massive fines or prison. Your caffeine addiction wasn't just a habit, it was an act of high treason against the crown. Have you ever considered the architecture of your closet? The T-shirt isn't just a name, it's a literal geometric description. When laid perfectly flat, this garment forms a flawless capital T. While it seems like common sense today, this design was a radical shift in 1913 when the U.S. Navy issued them as strictly hidden undergarments. They were never meant to be seen. It took a cinematic explosion from Hollywood legends like Marlon Brando to transform a piece of hidden military utility into the world's ultimate icon of rebellion and the most universal uniform on the planet. Think the alphabet is ancient history? Think again. The letter J is a surprising newcomer. For over a millennium, the letter I handled double duty for both vowel and consonant sounds. J actually began its life as a decorative swash or tail for I in Roman numerals, often used to prevent forgery or mark the end of a sequence. It wasn't until 1524 that Gian Giorgio Trissino officially identified it as a distinct letter. This makes J the youngest addition to the English alphabet, emerging centuries after U and W. Even the original 1611 King James Bible didn't use it. In France, until death do us part isn't a finality, it's a legal technicality. Under Article 171 of the Civil Code, you can legally marry a dead person. This haunting law was solidified in 1959 after a tragic dam collapse, allowing a grieving woman to marry her deceased fiancé. It requires the direct approval of the French president and undeniable proof of intent. While it doesn't grant inheritance rights, the union is backdated to the day before death, legally rewriting the past to bridge the gap between life and the void. It's a somber victory in which the law outlasts the human heart. Imagine a device from 2,000 years ago that could predict the future. A 2026 digital reconstruction has confirmed the Antikythera mechanism as the world's first analog computer. Found in a 1901 shipwreck, this bronze machine contains 37 complex gears. It didn't just track the stars, it predicted eclipses, tides, and seasonal winds with a precision of 0.028 millimeters, 0.001 inches. It is 1,000 years more advanced than anything that followed. This 34-centimeter, 13.4 inches box proves that ancient Greek technology was centuries ahead of its time, rewriting history with every gear turn. Did you know your favorite hashtag is actually a village surrounded by 8 fields? Long before social media, 1960s Bell Labs engineers grew bored of the term number sign and gave birth to a legend, the octothorpe. Octo honors its 8 sharp points, while Thorpe was a cheeky, highbrow tribute to Olympic icon Jim Thorpe. But the rabbit hole goes deeper. The symbol's DNA is ancient Latin. It's a mutated LB abbreviation for Libra Pondo. Medieval scribes scribbled it so fast the letters fused into the grid we tap today. It's a centuries-old linguistic ghost haunting your keypad. Long before social media, one man conquered high society with nothing but a mirror and a suit. Meet Beau Brummel, the 18th century icon who single-handedly killed the powdered wig and high heels. In an era of gaudy silk, he invented the dandy look, understated, sharp, and perfectly tailored. This commoner obsessed over perfection, spending 5 hours a day dressing and allegedly polishing his boots with champagne. He pioneered daily bathing when the world stayed dirty, and by influencing the king himself, he birthed the modern suit. He was simply famous for being flawless. Style isn't just clothing, it's power. Think evolution takes millennia? Meet the Hulks. In Italy, an ancient kaleidoscope of white, yellow, and orange wall lizards is being erased. For millions of years, these colors coexisted in a perfect balance, until now. A new king has risen, a massive neon green powerhouse with black patterned armor. These aggressive Hulk lizards aren't just winning, they're smashing their rivals into extinction. In just a few decades, they've wiped out the diversity that took eons to build. It's not just a takeover, it's a brutal evolutionary coup. Diversity is dying, and the green giant reigns. Ever wondered why perfect people feel so unreachable? It is known as the pratfall effect. This psychological phenomenon reveals a startling truth. High achievers become significantly more attractive and relatable the moment they stumble. In a landmark 1966 experiment, a brilliant individual who accidentally spilled coffee on themselves was rated far more likable than those who remained flawless. Why? Because perfection creates an intimidating wall of cold superiority. A minor blunder humanizes the elite, shattering that wall. But beware the twist. If an average person fails, it only damages their reputation. To truly win hearts, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be humanly excellent. Imagine staring at a sizzling steak while a thermal heat map explodes across your field of vision, pinpointing the exact microsecond of medium-rare perfection. Traeger's Meat AI smart glasses set the internet on fire, promising meat vision slicing guides, Wi-Fi heads-up displays, and night vision for those 3 a.m. brisket runs. It's the ultimate sci-fi kitchen flex, right? Well, don't throw away your meat thermometer just yet. It was a high-effort April Fool's prank. However, the fact that millions were ready to buy them proves that in 2026, the line between a joke and our next tech obsession is razor thin. Forget the Roman Empire and blood-soaked laurels. The world's most iconic salad wasn't named after Julius Caesar. It was forged in a frantic, booze-fueled scramble in Tijuana, Mexico. On July 4, 1924, Italian immigrant Cesar Cardini faced a hungry mob of Americans fleeing Prohibition. Running out of ingredients, he desperately tossed romaine, garlic oil, and coddled eggs right at their table to put on a show. It wasn't an imperial decree. It was a kitchen hack born of pure chaos. Imagine a biological hurricane inside your skull. A sneeze is a high-pressure reboot coordinated by your brainstem, launching a spray of 40,000 droplets at speeds reaching 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, faster than a Category 2 hurricane. This explosive reflex is 14 times faster than a human fart and can blast germs up to 30 feet, 9 meters away. But beware, never stifle the urge. Holding it entraps pressure up to 24 times higher than normal, capable of rupturing eardrums, bursting blood vessels in your eyes, or even tearing your throat. Your body is a high-speed machine. Respect the blast. Social media is buzzing with a viral claim. 2026 is the first year since 1900 in which the digits sum to 10. While the math is accurate, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10, the claim of extreme rarity is actually a myth. This phenomenon follows a precise 9-year cycle, previously appearing in 2017 and 2008. However, the true significance is deeper. In ancient mathematics, 10 represents the tetractys, the sacred decimal symbolizing a return to unity and the completion of a cosmic cycle. As we enter 2026, we aren't just flipping a calendar, we are engaging in a structural reboot of our timeline. Prepare for the decade's most significant mathematical shift. Deep beneath the waves, the ocean is a relentless monster trying to crush anything that breathes. To survive, we didn't look to planes, we looked to predators. Submarines mimic whales because water is 800 times denser than air. A blocky shape would be torn apart by drag. Every curve is a calculated lie told to the current, allowing these steel leviathans to slip through the abyss in ghostly silence. Their teardrop hulls aren't just for speed, they scatter sonar like a whisper in a storm. It's a double-layered masterclass in biomimicry, an outer skin for the flow, and an inner spine of steel against the crushing weight. Evolution solved the physics, we just added the engines. Stop obsessing over which side of the foil your food faces. That shiny versus dull debate? It's a complete myth. This kitchen staple hides a secret born of industrial necessity, not culinary science. To prevent thin metal from snapping under high pressure, manufacturers simultaneously roll two sheets together in a process called doubling. The shiny side is simply the one that touched the polished steel rollers, while the matte side touched the other sheet of foil. There is zero difference in heat reflectivity or cooking performance. It's not a secret hack. It's just a byproduct of physics. Science says, use whichever side you like. Your peaceful garden is actually a choir of high-frequency distress. When plants face dehydration or the blade of a mower, they don't just wilt, they scream. Researchers have captured ultrasonic clicks vibrating at the same frequency as human speech, triggered by botanical stress. While these SOS signals are invisible to our dull human ears, nearby insects and neighboring plants hear them loud and clear. Every time you trim a hedge, you're unknowingly conducting a frantic symphony of botanical panic. Nature isn't silent. We're just tuned out of its frequency. The world is louder than you think. Even in 2026, as AI masters quantum physics, humanity is still defeated by a simple piece of silk. How to tie a tie remains a top 10 global search, generating over 2.3 million monthly queries. This is Moravec's paradox in action. AI can write complex code in seconds, but fails to replicate the nuanced physical coordination needed for a Windsor knot. Despite the rise of digital work, this 17th-century Croatian invention survives as a powerful sensory anchor. Every year, a fresh wave of millions hits the mirror in a panic, proving that some physical rituals are simply immune to the digital revolution. Think Mount Everest is finished growing? Think again. The world's roof is a restless giant. Driven by the relentless collision of the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, the peak rises by about 4 millimeters each year. But here is the real kicker. Recent research reveals that a nearby river is actually lightening the load by eroding massive amounts of rock at the base, causing the mountain to rise even higher, a phenomenon called isostatic rebound. This means every climber today faces a taller beast than Sir Edmund Hillary did in 1953. Earth isn't just shifting. It's flexing. Talk about a literal uphill battle that never ends. Buffalo, 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 buffalo isn't a typo. It's a perfectly legal English sentence. This linguistic glitch works because buffalo is a triple threat: a city, an animal, and a verb meaning to intimidate. Translated, it means bison from buffalo, whom other bison from buffalo bully, also bully bison from buffalo. First popularized in 1972, This sentence exposes English as a beautiful, chaotic disaster in which meaning lies in the gaps of logic. It's proof that grammar isn't just about rules, it's about how much nonsense you can legally get away with. We view the Middle Ages as a time of endless toil. But the serf actually had a better work-life balance than you. Their lives weren't ruled by a 9 to 5, but by the sun and seasons. While harvest was intense, winter brought a mandatory pause. Even better? The church acted like a divine labor union, packing the calendar with so many feast days that a peasant often worked only 150 days a year. We've traded seasonal rest and community festivals for the relentless, soul-crushing glow of a spreadsheet. Our ancestors were the original masters of the slow life, while we are the ones in chains. The Swiss Army knife is a masterpiece of precision, but its origin was a desperate act of national pride. In the 1880s, the Swiss Army was embarrassed to rely on German-made blades, so Karl Elsner engineered a local miracle. Today, it packs 33 functions into a tiny frame, using high-grade steel and a clever spring system. It's so reliable that even NASA astronauts carry it into space. It's not just a tool, it's a high-tech survival kit that has remained almost unchanged for over a century. A true icon of indestructible design. Think Pablo Picasso is a short name? Think again. The legendary artist began life with a staggering 23-word baptismal identity. Pablo Diego José Francisco de Paula Juan Nepomuceno María de los Remedios Cipriano de la Santísima Trinidad Martyr Patricio Cleto Ruiz y Picasso. More than just a name, it was a rhythmic mosaic of saints and ancestors meant to protect him. He eventually chopped it down, ditching his father's common surname, Ruiz, for his mother's, Picasso, because he craved a resonant legacy. A man who revolutionized art started with a name as layered as a masterpiece. Blueberries are blue, right? Wrong. The pink lemonade blueberry is a botanical powerhouse that defies the very name of its species. Developed through decades of careful crossbreeding by the USDA, this hybrid isn't just a visual gimmick, it's a genetic masterpiece. While traditional berries are prized for their deep indigo, these ripen into a shocking, luminescent pink. The flavor? It's an explosion of sugary intensity, doubling the sweetness of standard varieties with a distinct floral, citrus twist. This isn't just a garden trend, it's a sensory revolution that challenges everything we know about fruit. Picture this. The pilot collapses, the cabin screams, and suddenly 46% of men think, "Move aside, I've played flight sim." It's true. Surveys show nearly half of men believe they could land a commercial jet solo. We've watched 3 Tom Cruise movies and suddenly physics is optional. In reality, you're staring at a dizzying wall of 500 switches while hurtling toward Earth at 150 miles per hour. It's a lethal cocktail of overconfidence and main character energy. Air traffic control might whisper in your ear, but without years of training, that landing is less heroic and more meteorite. Curiosity Killed the Cat is the ultimate verbal leash used to keep children and nosy neighbors in their place. But we've conveniently forgotten the second half. But satisfaction brought it back. The original phrase wasn't even about curiosity. In the late 1500s, it was care killed the cat, where care meant worry or sorrow. The shift to curiosity happened later, turning a warning about stress into a warning against exploration. By chopping off the satisfaction part, we've transformed a balanced observation about the risks and rewards of discovery into a purely negative omen. The full proverb actually encourages the pursuit of knowledge, suggesting that while the path of discovery might be fraught with peril, the ultimate reward of understanding is so powerful it can revive the spirit. It's a tragedy that we've spent generations using a truncated proverb to stifle the very impulse that drove our ancestors to cross oceans and map the stars. We've turned a celebratory cycle of death and rebirth into a static, fearful warning that tells us to stay in our lane and never look under the hood. Behold the E, the undisputed titan of the English alphabet, lurking in roughly 11% of every word you've ever spoken. It is the very breath of our language. Now, imagine the sheer madness of erasing it entirely. In 1939, Ernest Vincent Wright defied all logic by penning Gadsby, a 50,000-word epic that strictly forbids the letter E. To prevent a single fatal error, Wright reportedly tied down the E key on his typewriter, turning his writing process into a high-stakes psychological war. One accidental "the" and the entire masterpiece would crumble. This isn't just a book. It's a mind-bending feat of linguistic gymnastics that proves you can build a universe even after discarding its most essential tool. Absolute genius or pure insanity? You think you're eating a burger? You're actually consuming a biological crowd. Industrial meat processing is so massive that a single fast food patty isn't just one cow. It's a genetic mosaic of up to 100 different animals. Large-scale facilities mix massive batches of trimmings from countless cattle to maintain a perfectly consistent fat-to-meat ratio. That juicy bite is a who's who of the pasture, a chemical assembly line where individuality is ground into a uniform gray paste. Your lunch isn't just a meal. It's a high-speed collision of 100 separate lives. It is the final, brutal erasure of the individual animal in the name of a perfectly engineered $5 craving. Deep within the rugged landscapes of New Zealand, a creature that defied extinction thrives. The tuatara is not a lizard, but a lone survivor from the age of dinosaurs. Its most shocking secret? A functional third eye is embedded in the top of its skull. Known as the parietal eye, this biological marvel features a genuine lens, retina, and nerve endings. While hidden under scales in adults, it acts as a sophisticated celestial compass, sensing ultraviolet light to regulate life-sustaining cycles. It is a haunting glimpse into Earth's prehistoric past, hidden in plain sight. Science reveals that sisters act as biological emotional stabilizers. Research from Brigham Young University proves they significantly boost mental health, creating a natural defense against clinical depression and chronic loneliness. They force you to master verbal expression and empathy in ways brothers simply don't. Essentially, a sister is your brain's personal trainer for high-level emotional intelligence. It's not just family, it's a biological upgrade for your EQ. Forget luck, it's a lifelong mental health hack. Red isn't just a color, it's biological warfare. Evolution hardwired us to react to red with a primal surge of adrenaline, physically spiking our heart rate and signaling pure dominance. Science proves it. Olympic athletes wearing red win significantly more because it psychologically crushes opponents while boosting the wearer's confidence. From the crimson soles of Louboutins to the authority of a power tie, red utilizes the longest wavelength to hijack human attention. It's the color of fire and fury, a visual scream that demands submission. Wear it to command, see it to obey. Deep inside your body lies a haunting reminder of a wilder past. The human coccyx, or tailbone, isn't just a bone. It's a vestigial relic of the tails our ancestors once used for balance. Incredibly, every human embryo develops a physical tail during the first 8 weeks of life. While these usually dissolve into the spine, the biological blueprint remains locked in your DNA. In rare atavistic cases, babies are born with actual protruding tails containing muscle and nerves. It's chilling proof that evolution never truly deletes its old files. You aren't just human. You're a living archive of Earth's history. You actually have a hidden third set of teeth buried in your jaw. Nature just locked them away. But scientists in Japan just found the key. By targeting a protein called USAG1, a new breakthrough drug acts like a biological release valve, reactivating dormant tooth buds to grow brand new permanent teeth. Human trials are officially underway, aiming for a 2030 release. From 3D bioprinted bioinks to gels that regrow enamel overnight, the era of drill and fill is dying. We aren't just fixing teeth anymore, we're resurrecting them. Welcome to the age of biological immortality for your smile. Your brain fog isn't just a vibe, it's a biological emergency. When you're chronically sleep-deprived, your brain enters a terrifying state of auto-cannibalism. Normally, immune cells called microglia act like diligent janitors, clearing out toxic waste while you sleep. But without rest, they glitch into a predatory frenzy. They stop cleaning the trash and start devouring your healthy synapses, the literal wiring of your memories and intelligence. Through a process called phagocytosis, your brain physically snacks on its own hardware. Every all-nighter is an invitation for a demolition crew to tear down your mind's architecture. It's not just fatigue, it's a structural heist happening inside your skull. Your seat choice is a psychological blueprint. If you demand the window, you aren't just viewing clouds, you're asserting dominance. Behavioral experts like Joe Hemmings reveal window seaters are often more self-centered, prioritizing their nesting bubble over the row's comfort. By seizing the fuselage, you build a fortress, dictating light levels for everyone with a single shade. You're the calculated introvert who values territorial control over social empathy. While aisle seaters crave freedom, you crave the power to shut out the world at 35,000 feet. Are you a passenger or a sky-high tyrant? Archaeologists just unearthed a 1,600-year-old Egyptian mummy with a legendary secret. During mummification, Roman-era embalmers didn't just use resin. They stuffed the body's abdomen with fragments of Homer's The Iliad. Imagine your internal organs being replaced by the world's greatest war poem. Specifically, the catalogue of ships from Book 2 was used as a literal filler to maintain the body's shape. It's the ultimate recycled masterpiece. One person's trash is another's eternal padding. Talk about having a story in your gut. A classic tale buried for the ages inside the ages. Truly, history is what's on the inside. Right now, you are hurtling through the galaxy inside a colossal protective bubble. At its furthest edge lies the heliopause, a violent, glowing wall where the sun's solar wind slams into the icy vacuum of interstellar space. This isn't just a border, it's a cosmic battleground. NASA's Voyager probes confirm that at this boundary, plasma density triples and temperatures skyrocket. This hydrogen wall acts as a literal shield, deflecting lethal galactic radiation. We aren't just orbiting a star. We are sailing a fortified vessel through a deep, radioactive ocean. The ocean's darkest legend just became a terrifying reality. Science has officially confirmed the existence of Nanaimo-toothus hagardi, a prehistoric octopus stretching a staggering 62 feet, 19 meters long. This bus-sized monster didn't just haunt the Cretaceous deep, it dominated it. Using AI to scan ancient rock, researchers found bone-crushing beaks proving these krakens were intelligent apex predators that hunted giant marine reptiles like mosasaurs. With complex brains and enough power to dismantle a dinosaur, the nightmare is no longer a myth. It's history. Think unfriend is just a modern digital curse? Think again. This linguistic execution is actually a 700-year-old ghost. Back in 1275, the poet Lajaman used it as a noun to describe literal enemies and bloody adversaries. Fast forward to 1659, and clergyman Thomas Fuller resurrected it as a verb to cut ties with a bitter critic. For centuries, it lay dormant, a sleeping assassin, until social media dragged it from the grave. In 2009, it crushed defriend to become Word of the Year, because it felt like a tech undo command. You're not just clicking a button, you're unleashing medieval warfare. History's wildest plot twist? You were almost a seafarer. Hello is shockingly young. It only became a common greeting in the mid-1800s. Before then, it was just a shout to grab attention or a gasp of surprise. When the telephone was born, Alexander Graham Bell fought to make ahoy hoy the standard greeting. He actually hated the word hello, but his rival Thomas Edison pushed hello into the first phone books, and it won the global war. Now, the word we use billions of times a day is barely 150 years old. We didn't even have a universal word for hi until technology forced us to invent one. Mind blown? Imagine a place where the entrance is forever forbidden. While black holes are the universe's ultimate vacuum, white holes are its blinding fountains, mathematical mirrors where physics flips. Nothing, not a photon, not an atom, can ever step inside. Everything captured by a black hole could theoretically spew out from one of these, appearing millions of kilometers, miles away. Physicists suggest black holes might eventually bounce into white holes, rebirthing old matter. It's the universe's ultimate undo button, a one-way exit where time runs backward. Ready to fall out of the void? Think mob, and you might imagine outlaws. But in the wild, this title belongs to the emu. This isn't just a name, it's a warning. In 1932, the Australian military deployed soldiers armed with machine guns to eliminate these birds. What followed was the Great Emu War. The soldiers were stunned as the flightless mob utilized guerrilla tactics, splitting into small groups to dodge gunfire and vanishing into the outback. Despite thousands of rounds being fired, the military eventually retreated in defeat. In the vast Australian wilderness, the emus proved that nature can't be outmaneuvered. While others watch for the golden red of a standard sunset, nature hides a spectral anomaly for the truly observant. As the sun dips below the horizon, the atmosphere transforms into a colossal lens. For one crystalline second, physics separates the light, and the final sliver of the sun erupts in a piercing neon emerald. This isn't folklore. It's a verified phenomenon called atmospheric refraction. When conditions are flawlessly clear, the air bends green light toward your eyes just as the red disappears. It is a fleeting glitch in the sky, the most elusive light show on Earth. Blink, and you've missed it. Forget what you think you know about the platypus. Turns out that the platypus is even weirder than we thought. This isn't just a duck-billed mammal, it's a biological enigma. Recent genetic mapping reveals it possesses 10 sex chromosomes, a chaotic arrangement that mirrors birds rather than mammals. But the mystery deepens. This creature lacks a stomach, produces milk through its skin, and even possesses fur that glows a ghostly biofluorescent green under UV light. It is a venomous egg-laying masterpiece that defies every law of evolution. An international scientific puzzle that proves reality is far stranger than fiction. Think plants are passive? Think again. They are active hunters using biological sonar to stalk their prey. Water. Groundbreaking research reveals pea plants hear the low-frequency vibrations of liquid rushing through pipes. Even in parched, bone-dry earth, their roots lock onto these acoustic signals like a heat-seeking missile. It's called phonotropism. They aren't just feeling for dampness, they are eavesdropping on the pulse of the planet. They can even pinpoint the exact source of a flow amidst total silence. While you walk above, a rhythmic war for survival is being fought by ears made of roots. Nature is listening. History just got a massive reboot. Forget the Sumerians. Our ancestors were math wizards 3,000 years earlier. Recently, the analysis of 8,000-year-old Halafian pottery shards revealed a prehistoric binary code hidden in floral art. These aren't just doodles. The petal counts follow strict geometric progressions: 4, 8, 16, 32, and 64. These Neolithic geniuses were mastering complex spatial division and doubling sequences millennia before the first written numbers existed. Imagine, while the world was still waking up, these Mesopotamians were using geometric hacks to manage land and survival. Our digital logic is officially 80 centuries old. We're taught to fear the shadow in the alleyway, but data reveals a much closer threat. Statistically, the most dangerous person in your life isn't a masked stranger. It's the one sitting across from you at dinner. FBI and global crime reports confirm a chilling reality. A staggering percentage of homicides are committed by intimate partners. For women, especially, the person they promise to love forever is the most likely culprit if their life ends in violence. It turns the ultimate romantic vow into a dark statistical gamble. Your biggest security threat likely has a key to your house. Forget the vaults of the Federal Reserve. The world's real gold power lies in the jewelry boxes of Indian households. Indian housewives collectively own an estimated 25,000 tons of gold, roughly 11% of all gold ever mined. This staggering private hoard outweighs the combined official reserves of the US, Germany, Switzerland, and the IMF. In India, gold isn't just an accessory. It's a cultural backbone and a multi-generational financial fortress. While world economies fluctuate, this silent empire remains one of the most stable and massive concentrations of wealth on the planet. Think your cat is just quirky? Science reveals a hidden genetic lottery. Nepentolactone, the active chemical in catnip, mimics feline pheromones, triggering a primal, drug-like euphoria in the brain. But here is the kicker. Nearly 30% to 50% of cats are biologically immune to its power. This isn't a choice, it's an inherited trait controlled by a single dominant gene. If they lack it, they are literally blind to the high. Even weirder? No cat is born with this sensitivity. It's a superpower that only unlocks after 6 months of age. Your pet is either a secret junkie or a genetic outlier. Imagine the sky splitting apart, lightning dancing across the horizon, and thunder shaking the very foundation of your home. Yet inside, you feel a bizarre, soul-deep calm. This is chrysalism. Coined by John Koenig, it describes the amniotic tranquility of being safely tucked away while the world outside descends into chaos. It is a psychological echo of the womb, a neurological victory where your brain registers the dry, warm air as a triumph over the elements. You aren't just hiding from a storm. You are experiencing the ultimate evolutionary relief of absolute, impenetrable safety. The popular claim that money is the root of all evil has turned cold, hard currency into a cosmic villain. But the original biblical text offers a much more psychological indictment. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. This distinction is massive. It shifts the blame from the inanimate object, the paper and coins, to the human heart and the destructive obsession with accumulation. The original intent wasn't to condemn wealth itself, but to warn against the greed that prioritizes profit over people, justice, and mercy. Historically, this was a radical ethical standard meant to curb the rapacious behavior of the powerful. By dropping the love part, we've created a convenient scapegoat that lets us blame the system while ignoring our own motivations. We've turned a profound spiritual warning about the corruption of the human soul into a lazy political slogan that suggests we'd all be saints if we just went back to bartering with goats. It's a classic case of linguistic erosion, where we've lost the nuance of the message. That it's not the tool that's the problem, but the hand that grips it too tightly, sacrificing everything else in the pursuit of more. Beauty isn't a universal rule, it's a cultural hallucination. In 19th century Persia, Princess Esmat al-Dowleh was the ultimate icon of grace, but her features defy every modern filter. During the Qajar era, Thick, joined eyebrows and the thin mustache were considered the height of feminine elegance. This wasn't neglect. It was a high-status aesthetic so prized that women deliberately darkened their facial hair with charcoal. While internet legends claim 13 men took their lives over her rejection, a myth born from modern shock, the true reality is how the definition of perfection can flip entirely in just a few generations. We are all just prisoners of our era's taste. In an attempt to preserve human knowledge, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault isn't the only bunker. There is a project called the Arctic World Archive, located in an abandoned coal mine in Svalbard, Norway, where companies and nations store digital copies of historical documents and data on film, designed to last for over 1,000 years, essentially creating an analog backup for the internet. Imagine your only hope for freedom is hidden beneath your clothes. For victims facing forced marriage abroad, a simple metal spoon has become a tactical lifeline. By concealing it, they guarantee airport security will trigger a high-priority alert. This isn't about contraband, it's a calculated move for isolation. When the detector alarms, protocol mandates a private screening. In that secure room, shielded from the watchful eyes of their captors, a victim can finally speak the truth to authorities. This ingenious survival tactic turns a common household object into a powerful SOS, saving lives across the globe. Think your hair is safe? Think again. Nearly half of all American men, a staggering 42.68%, are currently losing a war against their own DNA. This isn't just getting older. It's a biological takeover called androgenetic alopecia. A rogue hormone known as DHT acts like a microscopic assassin, systematically choking hair follicles until they wither and die. From the first retreat of the hairline to the slow thinning of the crown, your genetics has already signed the order. For millions, the mirror isn't a reflection, it's a countdown. Your scalp is a battlefield, and the genes are winning. Imagine betting against a 90-year-old and losing your life's savings. In 1965, lawyer André-François Raffray thought he'd struck gold. He signed a deal to pay Jeanne Calment a monthly allowance until her death in exchange for inheriting her home. He was 47, she was 90. A safe bet? No. Fate had a wicked irony. Jeanne didn't just live, she became the oldest human ever. She met Van Gogh, survived 2 world wars, and outpaced time itself. Raffray paid for 30 years before dying at 77. His widow was legally forced to continue. At 122, Jeanne quipped, "In life, one sometimes makes bad deals." She didn't just beat the odds, she bankrupted her own burial. Sarcasm isn't just witty banter. It's a linguistic bloodbath. The word comes from the Greek sarkazane, which literally means to tear flesh. In the ancient world, it described a dog ripping at its prey with its teeth. Every time you drop a cutting remark, you aren't just being clever. You are performing a verbal disembowelment. We've managed to turn a primal predatory instinct into a socially acceptable art form. But the etymology reminds us that beneath the snark, we are still just hunters using syllables as fangs. It's the most civilized way to commit an act of violence. The sky isn't actually blue. You're witnessing a cosmic collision called Rayleigh scattering. As sunlight strikes our atmosphere, gas molecules act like tiny prisms. Long red waves pass through easily, but shorter, more energetic blue waves hit these molecules and shatter them, spraying across the horizon. Without this atmospheric interference, the daytime sky would be a terrifying pitch-black void. You aren't looking at a colored ceiling. You're seeing solar energy scattered by the very air you breathe. It's a massive glowing filter protecting us from the eternal darkness of space. In the Netherlands, humans are officially outnumbered. With roughly 18 million people and 23 million bicycles, there are about 1.3 bicycles for every citizen. This isn't just a quirky habit, it's a hard-won revolution. In the 1970s, after a tragic spike in child traffic deaths, the Dutch launched the Stop de Kindermoord movement to reclaim their streets from cars. Today, they boast massive underwater parking garages and 35,000 kilometers, approximately 21,750 miles, of paths, proving that while the world sits in gridlock, the Dutch are pedaling through a high-tech, two-wheeled masterpiece. Nature just broke its own fundamental rules. While every other tree on Earth reaches for the light, the newly discovered Pananga subterranea does the impossible. It lives almost entirely underground. Found in the dense rainforests of Borneo, this bizarre palm species hides its most vital secrets beneath the soil. It flowers in total darkness and produces bright red fruit that no eye can see. How does a plant survive without showing itself to the world? Even more shocking, while scientists are only now baffled by its existence, local indigenous tribes have known about this hidden fruit for generations. It is a biological enigma that defies the very definition of a tree. Evolution has a dark side, and it is buried right beneath your feet. Think Mars is round? Think again. Scientists just confirmed the red planet isn't a sphere. It's a triaxial ellipsoid, shaped like a giant rugby ball. Unlike Earth, which is an oblate spheroid, Mars is stretched along 3 distinct axes. But how? Enter Nereo, a long-lost gargantuan moon. Billions of years ago, its massive tidal forces pulled and warped Mars's cooling crust, creating the colossal Tharsis volcanic bulge. As the planet solidified, this distorted shape was frozen in time forever. Eventually, Nereo vanished, obliterated or cast into the void, leaving only tiny Phobos and Deimos. We are literally walking on the distorted fossil of an ancient lunar tragedy. Prepare to have your reality shattered. That iconic star shape? It's a lie. Groundbreaking genetic mapping has revealed a haunting biological secret. Starfish have no bodies. For eons, they've hidden in plain sight. But we now know they are essentially disembodied heads prowling the seafloor. By analyzing gene expression, researchers found that the arms are actually just elongated parts of a head, while the genetic blueprint for a torso has vanished entirely. It's not a creature with limbs. It's a sentient face that evolved to walk. Evolution didn't just break the mold, it decapitated it. Think you're just tired? Science reveals a terrifying truth. Staying awake for 18 hours impairs your brain exactly like being legally drunk. Your reaction time plummets by 50%, and your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, effectively shuts down. Pulling a full all-nighter? That's equivalent to a 0.10% BAC, well over the legal driving limit. Even scarier, sleeping 6 hours a night for 10 days creates the same cognitive wreckage as 24 hours of zero sleep. You aren't just exhausted, you are biologically intoxicated and dangerously unaware of it. Put down the keys. Forget everything you learned about 1492. Centuries before the Niña or Pinta ever touched the horizon, Norse longships had already conquered the brutal North Atlantic. Using cutting-edge forensic analysis of cosmic ray signatures in timber and soil, scientists confirmed a staggering truth. Vikings were building settlements in Newfoundland in 1021 AD, exactly 471 years before Columbus. These warriors trekked over 3,000 kilometers, 1,860 miles, from Greenland, battling 10-meter, 33-foot waves to reach a new world they called Vinland. History didn't start with a Spanish flag. It started with Viking iron and grit. The era of the unlucky bitter shot is dead. April 2026 research has weaponized physics to hack the perfect espresso. Using X-ray microtomography, scientists mapped the invisible tunnels inside a coffee puck, revealing that extraction follows the same fluid dynamics as those in volcanic magma and planetary crusts. By calculating a new optimal brewing equation, we've hit a tipping point: 25% less coffee, zero guesswork, and total flavor control. This global breakthrough isn't just brewing, it's poroelastic regulation. From astrophysicists to baristas, the smart brew revolution is redefining how the world drinks caffeine. Earth is losing its spin. Every century, our days grow 1.8 milliseconds longer as the moon's gravity claws at our oceans. This tidal friction acts like a relentless cosmic brake, stealing our planet's rotational energy and pushing the moon further away. 1.4 billion years ago, a day lasted only 18 hours. Dinosaurs lived in a world of shorter days. Eventually, a single afternoon could last for weeks. We are riding a spinning top of a planet that is slowly, inevitably stalling out. Time itself is stretching. Imagine a cat born in 1967, before the Apollo 11 moon landing, that lived to see the rise of the modern internet. Creme Puff wasn't just a pet, she was a biological miracle. Living for 38 years and 3 days, she remains the undisputed Guinness World Record holder for the oldest cat ever. That is roughly 168 in human years. What's truly mind-blowing? Her owner, Jake Perry, also raised the previous record holder, who reached age 34. Their secret? A bizarre daily diet including asparagus, eggs, and even coffee with heavy cream. Creme Puff didn't just break the record, she redefined the limits of feline biology. Imagine having the most productive fortnight in human history. In August 1897, a German chemist named Felix Hoffmann, working for Bayer, pulled off a pharmaceutical double-header that would change the world, for better and for much, much worse. On August 10th, he synthesized the stable form of acetylsalicylic acid, which we now know as aspirin. Just 11 days later, using a similar process of acetylation on morphine, he created diacetylmorphine. Bayer, in a move that aged like milk, branded this second creation heroin because it made early test subjects feel heroic and powerful. For a brief, surreal moment in history, the world's most popular over-the-counter painkiller and one of its most destructive, soul-crushing narcotics were born in the same sterile lab, by the same pair of hands, less than 2 weeks apart. It is the ultimate historical paradox. A single man handing humanity both the key to a quiet, headache-free afternoon and the chemical blueprint for a century of global addiction and heartbreak. Imagine trekking the crimson deserts of Mars, only to stumble upon the petrified skin of a titan. NASA's Curiosity rover just captured dragon scales, vast fields of rhythmic rock ripples that look disturbingly like reptilian armor. These aren't fossils of ancient monsters, but something arguably cooler: hardened clay and sulfate deposits sculpted over eons by retreating water and savage winds. This serrated landscape is a haunting ghost of a watery past, proving the red planet was once a world of shifting tides and chaotic chemistry. It's not just geology, it's a cosmic masterpiece. The world's sharpest teeth. These did not belong to sharks or dinosaurs, but to conodonts, tiny eel-like creatures from 200 million years ago. Forget the great white's bite or the T-Rex's crush. The deadliest edges in history belong to a creature the size of your thumb, the conodont. These ancient eel-like phantoms didn't need jaw strength. They used pure physics. Their teeth were honed to a terrifying 1/20th the width of a human hair, so sharp they'd slice through muscle at a near molecular level. While giants relied on brute weight, these tiny terrors wielded microscopic blades to dominate the prehistoric seas for eons. It wasn't about the size of the beast, but the surgical perfection of the kill. Evolution's sharpest secret. Stop and take a breath. You just invited 50,000 strangers into your lungs. With every single inhale, A massive army of bacteria is dragged deep into your body. These microscopic ghosts ride on invisible rafts of dead skin and human dust, swirling in a silent blizzard all around you. From crowded cities to quiet rooms, you are constantly swallowing a biological cocktail of life shed by everyone nearby. Your body is a high-stakes battlefield where your immune system relentlessly hunts these invaders. Every breath is a bio-war. Inhale. You just swallowed a civilization. You're never alone. Is your partner truly your soulmate, or just a local statistical anomaly? Mathematicians have applied the Drake equation, the same formula used to estimate the prevalence of extraterrestrial life, to human romance. The results are chilling. If you have only one perfect match among 8 billion people, the probability of ever locking eyes with them is roughly 1 in 10,000 within your reachable radius. In fact, if you met one new person every single second, it would still take over 250 years to find them. Scientifically, finding the one isn't destiny. It's a mathematical miracle that defies the laws of chance. On April 6, 2026, humanity didn't just touch the stars. We pushed the boundary of home further than ever. The Artemis II crew shattered a 56-year-old record, hurtling 252,757 miles into the abyss. As they looped around the moon's mysterious far side, they became the most isolated souls in history. Imagine the weight. Total radio silence, staring at the cratered void while Earth hung like a fragile marble in the distance. They even witnessed a solar eclipse from the deep, watching the moon swallow the sun. This wasn't just a mission, it was us reclaiming our place in the cosmos. We're back. The Michelin star is the ultimate culinary status symbol, but its origin is actually a cold-blooded business tactic. In 1900, the Michelin brothers realized they couldn't sell tires if people didn't drive. Their solution? The Michelin Guide. They raided remote elite restaurants to lure drivers into epic road trips across the countryside. Every exquisite meal literally ground down their tires, forcing them back to the shop for replacements. Today, the world's greatest chefs sweat over the approval of a rubber manufacturer. It's a century-long marketing heist where you pay for the steak and they profit from the trip. That gleaming metal around an athlete's neck? It's a glittering illusion. Since the 1912 Stockholm Games, the world's most iconic prize hasn't been solid gold. In a staggering twist of economics, the gold is actually a silver imposter. Per strict IOC regulations, these metals are forged from at least 92.5% pure silver, merely clothed in a thin 6-gram skin of pure gold. If they were solid today, a single medal would cost over $40,000. Instead, champions bite into a silver core wearing a golden mask. A golden dream built on a silver reality. The ultimate prize is a fake. Imagine waking up and realizing the last 10 days of your life simply vanished. In 1582, the world didn't just change its clocks, it deleted a massive chunk of human history. For centuries, the Julian calendar had a tiny, invisible flaw. It was off by 11 minutes every year. By the 16th century, the seasons were drifting. Easter was sliding toward summer, threatening the church's holy traditions. To fix this, Pope Gregory XIII decreed that Thursday, October 4th, would be immediately followed by Friday, October 15th. Just like that, 10 days were erased. No one was born, no one died, and no one worked. It was the ultimate historical glitch. But here's the kicker. Not everyone agreed. While Catholic countries jumped forward, others refused to change. This created a fractured reality where crossing a border meant traveling through time. You could leave a country on the 10th and arrive on the 1st. This old-style versus new-style chaos lasted for centuries, leaving a massive 10-day headache in our records today. We often think of sleep talking as a verbal glitch, but the brain's urge to communicate goes far deeper than sound. For many in the deaf community, the night is far from quiet. Researchers have documented sleep signing, where individuals fluidly use sign language while dreaming. This isn't just random muscle twitching. It's the brain's language centers firing so intensely that the body physically mirrors the dream's conversation. Imagine a room in total silence, yet a person is mid-sentence, their hands weaving complex stories in the dark. It's the ultimate proof that language isn't in our throats. It's hardwired into our biology. Beneath the suffocating dunes of the Sahara lies the ghost of a lost Eden. Every 21,000 years, Earth's axial wobble tilts our planet toward the sun, igniting colossal monsoons that transform 9 million square kilometers, 3.5 million square miles of dust into a lush emerald world of deep forests and sprawling rivers. Imagine hippos and crocodiles swimming in Mega Lake Chad, once 400,000 square kilometers, 154,000 square miles, far larger than all North American Great Lakes combined. Ancient rock art proves humans hunted elephants where sand now reigns. We live in a dry blink of a cycle that will turn this wasteland green again in 12,000 years. The desert is alive. It's just holding its breath. History just hit a silent turning point. For the first time, the world's largest auto market has officially flipped. In China, over 50% of all new cars sold are now electric. Think about that. The internal combustion engine, a titan of the 20th century, is now the minority in the world's biggest car economy. While the global average is climbing toward 25%, the momentum is absolute. We are witnessing the tailpipe's extinction in real time. This isn't a prediction of the future. It's the new reality of our roads. The age of oil is officially idling. You leave a conversation convinced you were forgettable, but the reality is far more cinematic. Psychology calls this the liking gap, a pervasive mental glitch that leads us to systematically underestimate our own social value. Research from Yale and Cornell proves that after first meetings, people consistently rate their partners higher than they rate themselves. This self-sabotaging bias isn't just a first-date fluke. It persists in professional teams for months. We are haunted by an internal critic that doesn't exist in others' minds. The person you just met probably liked you far more than you dared to imagine. You are the hero of a story you're too afraid to read. "150 years ago, a single spark of genius rewired the planet forever. Before the internet or satellites, there was only a copper wire and a desperate cry. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell uttered 7 legendary words. 'Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you.' It wasn't just a summons. It was the birth of the global village. What started as a crude liquid transmitter has evolved into the pocket-sized supercomputers connecting us across oceans today. This April, we honor the moment silence died and the modern world began to speak. From one room to the entire globe, the conversation hasn't stopped since. Your brain might be too evolved for small talk. Research into the Savannah theory of happiness reveals a shocking twist. While most humans crave social validation to survive, highly intelligent individuals actually experience decreased life satisfaction when they socialize too frequently. It's not that they're loners, their minds are hyper-focused on complex goals and abstract puzzles. For a genius, a crowded party isn't a vibe, it's a cognitive distraction. They trade shallow chatter for profound solitude, proving that the most powerful engines often run best in silence. Forget the coffee. Your brain has a hidden hyperdrive. Sleep scientists have uncovered a biological glitch, the 6-minute flash nap. In just 360 seconds, your mind performs a massive data dump, moving memories from short-term storage to permanent vaults. It's a neurological defrag that sharpens recall instantly. This isn't just rest, it's a cognitive upgrade. Global tech titans are now building ultra-short stations because 6 minutes of shut-eye is more potent than a double espresso. Your brain doesn't need sleep. It needs a reboot. Welcome to the future of peak performance. Don't let the 360 kilograms, 800 pounds of fur fool you. Grizzlies are biological missiles. While a horse is technically faster in a long-distance gallop, a grizzly's explosive acceleration allows it to rival or even outsprint almost anything over the first 50 yards. Clocked at speeds up to 64 kilometers per hour, 40 miles per hour. They use a massive shoulder muscle hump as a supercharged engine. On steep inclines or rough terrain, the slow bear becomes a high-velocity nightmare. In a short-range life-or-death dash, that bear isn't just fast. It's a terrifying lesson in physics. Running is just an invitation. The biological off switch. What if the secret to mastery isn't trying harder, but shutting down? Neuroscience reveals a phenomenon called transient hypofrontality. During a flow state, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, doubt, and self-consciousness, literally goes dark. By silencing your inner critic, your mind bypasses rational lag to trigger pure, lightning-fast instinct. Time dilates, your ego dissolves, and you become a passenger to your own peak performance. To achieve the impossible, your brain doesn't power up. It surrenders its most human part to let the subconscious take total control. When the darkness of history feels too heavy, the radical wisdom of Epicurus offers the perfect escape. He believed we should never fear death because it is a natural part of life. So it is a waste of energy to worry about an event we cannot control. He also taught that the good things in life are actually easy to get. True happiness does not require a mansion, since all you really need is fresh air, loyal friends, and simple food. Deep in the twilight zone, 800 meters, 2,600 feet down, a silent predator haunts the abyss. Meet the Keatfin shark, the world's largest glowing vertebrate. Reaching lengths of 1.8 meters, 6 feet, this isn't just a fish, it's a living lightsaber. While most bioluminescent creatures are tiny, this beast uses thousands of light-producing cells to mask its silhouette against the faint surface light. By becoming a shimmering phantom, it stalks prey in total stealth. A massive, glowing ghost prowling the dark, it's one of nature's most terrifyingly beautiful secrets. That extra air in your chip bag isn't a corporate scam. It's a pressurized life support system. It's actually 100% nitrogen. Oxygen is the ultimate enemy of the snack, causing oxidation that turns fats rancid and makes chips soggy in minutes. By flushing out the air and pumping in nitrogen, manufacturers create an invisible cushion that prevents your lunch from turning into dust during transport. It also halts chemical decay, keeping that first bite as fresh as the day it was fried. That wasted space is the only reason your snack isn't a bag of stale, oily crumbs. Imagine a creature with 3 hearts, blue blood, and 9 brains, drifting 30 meters, 100 feet below the waves. Captured on film, a sleeping octopus began a rapid, chaotic transformation, flickering through a strobe-like kaleidoscope of colors from ghostly white to deep crimson in seconds. This isn't a muscle spasm, it's evidence of cephalopod dreaming. Scientists have identified an active, REM-like state where their brains process complex memories. Despite 600 million years of separate evolution, we share this haunting trait, an internal theater. The ghost in the machine is real. Tires weren't always the void black circles we know today. Originally, they were a milky, off-white rubber. The transition to black wasn't a fashion choice, but a life-saving engineering breakthrough. In 1917, manufacturers began adding carbon black, a soot-like byproduct, to the mix. This didn't just change the color, it reinforced the rubber's molecular structure. It increases durability by 1000%, acts as a thermal shield to dissipate heat, and provides sunscreen against UV rays that would otherwise cause the rubber to rot. Without this dark additive, your tires would literally crumble and melt under the pressure of the open road. Deep in the featureless Sahara, one creature performs a feat of navigation that defies logic. The desert ant doesn't just wander, it calculates. Since shifting sands erase every scent trail, these tiny engineers rely on a high-precision internal pedometer to survive. To prove this, scientists once glued microscopic stilts to their legs. The result was mind-blowing. The ants overshot their colony by the exact distance of their elongated stride. They aren't just walking, they are literally counting every step to stay alive. In a world of chaos, math is the only thing keeping them from certain death. Remember this, eraser? We all spent our childhoods trying to rub out pen ink with the blue side, only to end up with a hole in our homework. It turns out we were living a collective hallucination. The blue side was never meant for ink. It was engineered for heavy-duty, grainy paper like cardstock or thick parchment. It's infused with pumice and extra grit, acting as a high-velocity abrasive. While the pink side lifts graphite, the blue side literally grinds away the top layer of the paper itself. We weren't erasing mistakes, we were performing high-grit surgery on our pages. Forget everything you know about biology. Deep in the abyss, creatures with zero bones are doing the impossible. They're standing up and sprinting. This is bipedal locomotion, octopuses walking on two legs. By using a hydrostatic skeleton made of pure muscle and water pressure, these geniuses stroll across the sea floor. Why? To maintain a perfect disguise. While two legs do the walking, the rest of the body mimics a rolling coconut or drifting seaweed. It's a high-speed, bone-free getaway that proves nature is weirder than any cartoon. Evolution just got a major flex. We've been using blood is thicker than water to guilt-trip our cousins into helping us move for centuries. But the original sentiment was far more hardcore. The full phrase, "the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb," actually reverses the modern meaning. It suggests that the bonds we forge in battle or through shared belief, the blood of the covenant, are far more resilient than the biological accident of birth. It's a radical rejection of the idea that genetics dictates loyalty. Historically, this concept emerged from a world where chosen brotherhoods were the only thing standing between you and a cold, lonely death. While modern linguists debate whether the longer version is a recent reinterpretation, the dramatic shift in how we prioritize community is a fascinating mirror of our changing social structures. Reaching for your phone the second you open your eyes is a neurological ambush. As you wake, your brain transitions through theta and alpha waves, the prime states for creativity and deep focus. By immediately scrolling, you bypass these critical windows and force your mind into a high beta state of stress and reactivity. This triggers a massive spike in cortisol and hijacks your dopamine receptors, conditioning your brain to spend the rest of the day in a distracted, pleasure-seeking loop. You aren't checking your phone, you're surrendering your brain's highest potential to a piece of glass. The idea that you can live a full year during a 20-minute nap is a cinematic masterpiece, but the biological reality is a bit different. While Inception popularized the idea of time dilation, sleep science shows that dream time moves at a nearly 1-to-1 ratio with reality. Subjects asked to count in lucid dreams do so in real-time seconds. However, your brain is the ultimate film editor. It skips the boring parts, stitching together highlights to create the powerful illusion of passing days. You aren't living a year in minutes. Your mind is just playing a high-speed highlight reel. It's the ultimate psychological skip button, making a nap feel like a lifetime.
The Great Ocean Hoax. NASA didn't start in the deep sea. It was forged in the fires of the Cold War. In 1957, the Soviet launch of Sputnik 1 shrieked across the sky, shattering American confidence and sparking a literal existential crisis. In response, President Eisenhower signed NASA into existence on July 29, 1958, to conquer the heavens, not the abyss. The viral myth that they found something in the Mariana Trench and fled to space is pure internet fiction. While the Navy explored the trench in 1960, NASA's eyes were always locked on the stars, a high-stakes race to ensure humanity's future wasn't written in Russian. We weren't running from the ocean, we were racing to the moon.
Imagine a planet so distant it was seen with a pen before it was ever spotted through a lens. By 1846, the cosmic clockwork seemed broken. Uranus was wobbling, pulled off course by a spectral tug, using nothing but Newton's laws of gravity. Mathematicians Urbain Le Verrier and John Couch Adams calculated the existence of a phantom giant. When Johann Galle finally pointed his telescope at that precise empty spot in the dark sky, Neptune was waiting, found within just 1 degree of the math. It remains the ultimate triumph of logic over the void. A planet summoned from the shadows by the sheer cold power of human calculation. You are wandering through a landscape you can barely perceive. Human eyes are tuned to a pathetic sliver of light, roughly 430 to 770 terahertz. This means we are essentially blind to 99% of reality. Wi-Fi, radio signals, and radiation are howling all around you. Yet to your biology, they don't exist. Our hearing is just as primitive, capped at 20 kilohertz. If we could detect the full spectrum, the silence of a room would be drowned out by the roar of cosmic static and planetary vibrations. We are trapped in a sensory vacuum, mistaking a tiny crack for the entire sky. Reality is far louder and brighter than your DNA allows you to believe. There you have it. 100 facts that prove reality is the ultimate plot twist. Which one completely changed your perspective? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you think your trivia skills are sharp, head over to the community tab right now to vote on today's fun fact quiz. No spoilers in the comments. The correct answer gets pinned in exactly 24 hours. Keep questioning everything.